How we doing today, y'all? And today we are talking about Orient Volume 3. I have been super excited for this manga. I mean, look at the covers. The covers are... These are top-notch covers. I love them. But yeah, we're going back into the story with Musashi and Kojiro, learning a bit more about them. We actually get our third protagonist for the first time, and our first villain. So, as always, going to talk about the first chapter, give you some general thoughts, and then talk about the rest. So, in the first chapter, it's actually a pretty quick chapter in this one too. We learn that the reason the citizens haven't fled the town, even though Hideo is telling them to fight a giant swarm of Kodama they're not prepared to fight, is because they're scared because he's threatened to kill them. Like, he will cut them all down if they try to walk away. So the group, after getting together, decides to make a plan to give them an escape route so they don't have to worry about him killing them. So what they end up doing is essentially they set up a nice plan where Musashi and Kojiro knock out all of Hideo's guards and open an escape route, and boom, nobody runs away. Even though Tsugumi, our new character, lets them know that they can get away, they don't have to listen to this crazy dude and die, none of them will move. And that's the chapter. It's pretty quick. We just get some talks into how crazy Hideo is and how much he's warped the minds of these characters. He's a pretty good villain because he's not entirely a villain. It's just he's a guy that has the wrong way of doing things, and it's risking other people's lives. And we get to see that at the forefront of this chapter. Overall, once again, I enjoy the hell out of this manga, so I definitely recommend, even though this is a video, to stop here and go read it yourself. It's very enjoyable. There's a lot of world building this time around, and some minor character building that are really good to set up, because they're setting up for their first big fight at the end of this. Not their first villain, but their big fight within the world's power systems and so on. So from here, I'm just going to talk about the rest of the manga, and then share my thoughts at the end. So, what we learn is essentially there's an invisible cage around all these people because Hideo has pretty much mind warped all his citizens into being dependent on him and being scared of him because he is the most powerful person there. And pretty much sets up that Tsugumi has to realize she has to beat her master, the person who's trained her and given her her entire life. And that setup is pretty sick. We get a amazing fighting scene for at least 1 to 2 chapters of Tsugumi just pretty much having to get over her dependence on Hideo as a master. We get to see some cool, like I said, cool full arts still coming through in this manga as Tsugumi fights Hideo. She does come out on top, of course. It wouldn't be a great story if our third character lost to her master. And they're actually able to get all of the citizens out of the city because what's happening is a bunch of Kodama are coming. They're doing it in the form of a tidal wave because normally they're very weak demons, but they've gathered together and are pretty much just going to hit the castle like a tsunami. It's very good. It's very engaging. It'll be interesting to see how they animate this anime because its art's so good. I just don't see how you can animate art that's as good as this. But I mean, I've been watching Fire Force, so it definitely can be done. I think Orient is getting an anime, so it'll be exciting, especially to see this chapter and then the this book and then the first part of Volume 1 where they fight the giant demon the first time. That'll be pretty sick to see. Yeah, so Tsugumi does save Hideo. She just sort of knocked him out. She's going to stay and help rebuild the village, and the village just looks and playing up tells her no. Even though you want to be like your sister and be this good person and be this strong samurai for the village, you're not. And if you stay here, you're just going to go back to the position you were before. Hideo's too strong. You need to pretty much come to your own before you can come back to the village. And she makes that her goal. And essentially, she becomes sort of a joke character because she's crying because she has no friends anymore. She's leaving her village and just pretty much banks on that fact that Hideo has been in control of her life, her whole life. So we get a little bit of like a filler chapter here where we learn more about Tsugumi. We learn more about Musashi and Kojiro's insecurities as people. It's just overall a comedy chapter. It's really nice. It's good and refreshing after a pretty serious little tiny arc. So overall, I think they did a good job. Next, they do arrive at the demon that they were hunting down originally. So they are going in to try and track down this demon, where they realize a bunch of samurai castles are there. But bef- before they get there, I'm sorry, I had to do a little cut. I could hear something touching my wall, and I don't know what it is. But anyways, before they get there, uh, as they're camped out after their little cannon filler thing, Musashi happens upon a Kodama steals Kojiro's sword, his dad's sword. So Musashi chases him down, and he ends up running into almost something that reminds me of Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works. This guy who is in a field surrounded by what we learn are demon metal blades. He pretty much is the one that teaches Musashi that you need demon metal in order to be able to slay any demons, because the part of their body that is their weak point is only able to be cut by a demon metal blade. So Musashi tries one out. It breaks apart. We don't even learn this new character's name. He says he's a nameless dog, and he just disappears. No one else sees him. So once they get to the city, they're trying to figure out how him and Kojiro can get a blade, going around learning more about how samurai trade, things like that, getting to know more about the samurai society. And pretty much it ends on Musashi and Kojiro choosing the blades that they want. As soon as Musashi touches his blade, we get a flashback to something that we have no idea what it is. Most likely it'll have to be something dealing with Musashi's past, which will be interesting. So overall, though, I did enjoy this manga quite a bit. I think they did a good job overall, having some engaging action and story. I'm obviously very engaged. At the very bottom of my stack here is Volume 4, and I actually saw Volume 5 at Books Kino Kinoma early, but I held off. I shouldn't have to worry about being able to pick that up. And the dogs are getting ready for their walk, so that's a perfect time. Thanks for watching. If you haven't read this, then feel free to tell me what you are reading, and other than that, have a good one.